Welcome to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, coming to you live from the Wave Beach Realty Studios in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Call us today at 843-957-3872. This segment is sponsored by Bobby Clary State Farm. Call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right. All right, guys, welcome back into the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist. I am Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, back to you for new season 3, episode 1 of our full podcast series. So we are back at it today, starting off with a somber and an unfortunate event with the Charlie Kirk situation. I know we've got a lot to talk about. A lot's breaking on that. And I was telling Wes before we started the podcast that I've actually had a conversation with 2 different people who openly disagreed with Charlie, and I wouldn't say celebrated his death, but posted some unnecessary things online, which sparked a conversation between me and these 2 people.
Oh, so this was online.
Well, no, I didn't have the conversation online. I didn't do that. I reached out privately to the people. I wasn't going to do it online. I'd rather have a direct conversation with somebody because doing that online's pointless. But it got pretty heated. Really not on my side, though. I really was just trying to make logical points about why celebrating death or insinuating that somebody deserved to die by sharing posts about them that are negative is a bad thing. I don't know why I have to do that in this day and age, why that's not common sense, that celebrating death an assassination that was almost live is not acceptable. But apparently people believe that it is. So I had to have that.
There's tons and tons of literal celebrations online. And it's like you said earlier before we go on the air, people don't watch things in context. You know,
Right. Yeah.
Stephen King,
Yep.
what he wrote, you were just mentioning that a while ago. He did come
Yeah.
back and apologize. I was kind
Yeah,
of
he did apologize,
surprised.
but the damage has been done. A couple
Yeah.
publishers dropped him.
Oh,
Uh,
good. Awesome.
yeah, he's catching a lot of heat. He was like trying
Well,
to
well,
tweet back to
well, wait a
people and
minute now. We're
apologize.
supposed to be free speech, aren't we? I mean, that's what they're saying now, that all these people getting fired. And, well, I thought you people were for free speech. Well, yeah, you can say
Yeah,
anything you want. He said
yeah,
what he
you
wanted
can say
to.
anything you want, but if your
We didn't
employer
stop
thinks
him.
that what you're saying makes them look bad, that's called consequences of your
Exactly.
actions. Yeah,
Freedom of
there's
speech
no
doesn't
freedom
mean
of
freedom of
consequence.
consequence. Freedom
Yeah.
of consequence.
Yeah, if I'm out there talking negative about my clients on Facebook and the real estate board decides that I don't need to have a real estate license because I'm talking crap about clients on social media, I could lose my real estate license. I can still say whatever I want, but there's a consequence to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't do that.
So neither one of these people ended up seeing your points at all?
No, they. I would make a point about, it's just not okay to celebrate. Like, okay, hate the guy all you. I even said, for sake of argument, let's just say Charlie was a horrible person and spewed hate. What do you get out of celebrate? Like, you didn't talk bad about him while he was here. What's the point of waiting until he's dead and then sharing all these bad things and celebrating his death? And now he can't speak for himself. He can't defend himself. He's never going to make have another debate or spew another word again. So why now?
Yeah.
Because people are upset about his death. Does it make you feel better to share bad things about him and be nasty about him? Like, why now? And why do you think that's the appropriate time? And instead of explaining to me why they think it's the appropriate time, they just go revert back straight back to, well, he says this and he believes this. And I was like, his beliefs are irrelevant. I've just said that I agree with you. I don't actually agree with him.
No,
But
no.
let's just say I agree with you that he's a bad guy. Put that aside. Why do you think it's okay to celebrate somebody's death, period? Minus what they said. Like, that's irrelevant. And they just don't have an answer. There's
No,
no
there is no
there's no
answer.
rhyme or reason to celebrate somebody's death.
And we've had this discussion many times on our podcast and our quick clips. When you start devaluing life, human life, this is where we end up. I
Yeah.
mean, we've had discussions about abortion, we've had discussion about euthanasia, we've had all these discussions, but this is where you end up when you don't appreciate the specialty, the sacredness of a human life. And people are
Right.
just let's just go to that next step now, though. These people keep saying that he spewed hate. Show me one time he spewed hate. Now, if you take him out of context or you take a clip, yes, he did say stuff like, could be very misused. But that just goes back to our 7 seconds worth of attentive ability these days. I don't know if you saw that study last week. 7 seconds is the normal attentive time at this point for somebody to stay
Yeah.
concentrating on a subject. Well, You can't just listen to Charlie for 7 seconds, especially if it's a selected 7 seconds, and know what he was about. I mean,
Right.
he literally would give people minutes, minutes upon minutes, just to spew hate at him before he would even come back at him,
Right.
and then try to talk to him. Most of them ended up walking away or screaming obscenities or something. But he
Yeah.
would. Who else would do that? I don't see anybody on the other side giving anybody the time to talk to him.
Right. Yeah. So what he did, I mean, like, so there's some things that maybe I heard that I didn't necessarily agree with him 100% on, and but overall, I think he was a nice guy. He loved his family. He was a big proponent of the family unit and working hard and just being a good person and loving everybody. And I mean, a lot of the stuff that I saw that he shared seemed like good messages that, I think that my fellow counterparts on the left would actually agree with. I just think that when he doesn't fit into the box of what they want and what their views are completely, if there's anything that you don't line up with on that side, it's just they must go at all means. And that's a scary place to be because when you get to a place where, because I was trying to explain to this person, because they're like, I don't understand why everybody's so outraged and upset about the death. I was like, one, he was killed, he was assassinated on like where you can see the video everywhere and it's horrific. So that's one reason it's getting all the coverage. But I was secondly, you have to look at it when he got killed, he attacked. They not only attacked him, they attacked everybody that believes in having open conversations with people without the threat of violence. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people like you and I that don't want to have the fear of having these conversations and somebody shooting us in the back of the head because we said something they don't agree with. And when somebody like him gets killed, it makes you wonder how much can I say that people will disagree with before I'm a target. And I
Yeah.
know we're not anywhere near that. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But
Yeah. No way.
other people like him,
Oh
it's
yeah.
so what I was trying to explain to this person, I was like, that's what people are outraged by. It's not just him dying. It's the fact that people have got to a point in America, the freest country in the world, where you could actually get assassinated for saying something somebody else doesn't agree with. And it's happened in other times in history,
Oh
but
yeah.
it hasn't happened in such a long time, especially within the social media age where we can just watch it playing out in real time. And so that's why it got the outrage it did. And this other person kept talking about, I guess, the senator or congresswoman that got killed a few months ago in another state.
In
And I
Minnesota,
don't know the full
by
context
a
on that.
well, the whole context was it was somebody that was doing it because they thought he was helping Governor Walz out. He was actually on. He's on the left. They talked about Shapiro's house getting firebombed by a pro-Palestinian activist who didn't like that he was helping or talking good about Jews. I mean, they throw this stuff out there, and I don't know if they just don't understand that it's not making their point
Right.
because of all the propaganda that's online about just junk, people just making stuff up. Like I just saw a video where somebody was showing that this guy who shot Charlie Trump was a Trump supporter because
Right.
he had a Trump shirt on. Well,
Well, they photoshopped it over as,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's just it. People don't spend enough time to research anything, and that's all they know. I've heard
Yeah.
I've heard these people on the streets asking people about this, and oh, they're glad did this, glad that. Well, what did Charlie say that you didn't like? Well, he just spewed hate. Well, what was that hate? Well, I don't have time to sit here and talk.
Yeah.
It's because they don't know.
Yeah.
You just said he said some things you didn't agree with. Um, I mean, what kind of things? Even if there, I don't remember hearing anything that I would say that he was out of line on. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I've may have disagreed on some technical issues or something like that, but I don't remember him saying anything that I could say that he was just wrong on.
No, I mean the person that I was that I one of the people I was talking to, they were saying that, he basically said that if somebody got raped and that he still wasn't for abortion or something like that. And I would have to go back and watch the full clip because I didn't watch. I
It
don't remember
was,
the clip where he was talking about that. But
he's had a bunch of them like that,
yeah,
and I mean, it comes down to we've had this discussion. When does life begin?
When life gets unpredictable, turn to a partner you can trust. At Bobby Clary State Farm, we've got you covered. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we're dedicated to providing personalized coverage that fits your needs. With our friendly and knowledgeable team, navigating your insurance options have never been easier. Visit bobbyclary.com or call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right.
right.
If it begins at conception, no matter how that conception happened, At what point does that he'd always say that unique DNA have the human rights, civil rights, life rights to be a being. And that's
Right.
what, so he would take them through the whole process, which would
Right.
take, 3, 4, 5 minutes to go through the whole process. But what do people grab?
That just the clip that he is for pro rape or something. That's what
Yeah.
they were going with,
Yeah.
which
He
is
wasn't,
amazing. Amazing
he
way to spin that.
it is, it really is. He wasn't pro rape, but
No.
are you talking about the action, or are you talking about the human life that now exists? And he
Right.
was from conception, so when conception happened, no matter what, I mean, that's really hard. I mean, that's one I
Yeah.
struggle with. Rape, incest. I mean, how do
Yeah,
you
listen,
really
we
boil down
this is
to it?
one that we've talked about this on the
Yeah, we
podcast
have.
on
We
our
have.
and I've said that I don't think I would be okay making somebody have a baby if they were raped.
Yeah.
I don't ever have to worry about being in that position, so it's hard for me to make that call.
Yeah.
I agree that it's a life immediately. I'm not really an
Well,
abortion guy, but I understand the reason for not banning it at this point because we're too far
well,
gone.
and I don't know if you ever saw the clip, because again, he's had this conversations hundreds of times on campus, probably
Yeah,
more than that.
yeah,
And this came up, and it so happened there was a young lady in the crowd that he had met before the event or something, and she was the product of rape. And so
yeah,
he was asking, okay, so look at these people behind you. He didn't call her out. He wasn't going to call her out. He says, "What are these people is here because of a rape? Which one is it? And is it fair to say that they should be aborted?" And she took the position, I'm brave enough to go up and talk about it. So she came to the mic and said, "I am the one he's talking about. And I would
yeah.
not be here if my mother had decided to abort me." So
Right.
how do you that really hits home. Again, the action's terrible. The everything is, I mean, and let's talk about those actions. And again, to me, that goes back to not having value for human life. Just that you could use another human being like that. I mean,
Right.
I think men who rape should be castrated. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That
100%.
may be
Yeah, I think it might be a worse act than murder, honestly. Like as far as like if
it's
they have when you murder somebody, they're dead. When you rape somebody, they have to live with it forever.
yeah. And so there's two different things going on there. So people pull that clip about Charlie, and then they say, "Well, he did this, he did that." It's like with his views on transgenderism. He talked, and he was very nice to people. I mean, if they
Yeah.
came up respectful, he was respectful. And I remember him talking to one I think it was a trans woman, and they had a great conversation, and both of them were respectful. And he just said, well, is it ever okay to lie? Well, of course you don't lie. He said, so why would I look at somebody who was born a man, who wants to be a woman, and affirm that when I know that that's not God's plan?
Right.
And again, these are long conversations. You can't have them in clips, but TikTok, you got to
Oh
have what,
yeah.
10 seconds, 20 seconds? And that's
Yeah.
all these people are basing their opinion on.
Yeah.
And it's
And it's
ridiculous.
just it is, and it's and like my main thing is, and I was trying to tell this person that like it's not like put Charlie Kirk aside. It's a there's a bigger picture here. One, this guy. I don't think he realized what he's going to cause because one, there's going to be so many people that are going to want to carry that torch now that have been ignited by that.
Yeah.
That will go out and do the same thing he was doing. So there's going to be 10 Charlie Kirks out there now.
More than that, but yeah.
Well, I know, but 10 times, let's say 10x. There's
Yeah,
a 10x.
10x. Yeah, I think so at
Yeah.
least.
What they also did was he took a stab at people that want to have open conversations that disagree with each other, and I hope people don't stop having those conversations because of that. That's the main thing I don't want to
So
stop. That was the concern for me.
yeah, I was gonna say when we talked the other day, a little quick clip, it actually went, pretty good, 300 some views as we record this. But you were concerned it was going to shut people down. What's your take on that a few days later now?
I think it will still shut some people down, but I think it's going to actually the people that it shuts down will be less than the people that are now ignited. So I think now a couple days later, after it's died down a little bit, and I can kind of see the full not the full repercussions, but start to see the
Yeah.
pattern and the shift. I think it's one you're going to have. I think one thing that's going to happen. You're going to have a little bit less moderates. You're going to have people being like this is out of hand. You're going to see a little bit more shift to that center right or even further right, which could some of that can be good, some of that can be bad.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see, I think you're going to see a lot more people trying to do what Charlie was doing because of so he had so much admiration. And I didn't even realize how many fans he had across the country until this happened. And
Oh,
I didn't know how
supposedly,
many people followed him.
supposedly, and I could be, and these numbers could have been wrong, but somebody said when on Wednesday he had 1.7 million followers on Instagram. As of
Wow.
la
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't
as of last night, he had 10.6 million.
see. Yeah, there you go. That's
10
a 10x
times
right there.
10x. I
Yeah.
mean, this has really, it not only has motivated people to stand up and say, okay, it's time to take our country back in a not in a violent way, but just, we need to get back to common sense. And also people just coming to realize this guy wasn't as bad as everybody made him out to be. Because
No.
if you really go listen to him talk, and again, you're gonna find times when he outbursts. I saw one last night where he was coming off a stage in an event, probably about 8 or 9 years ago. He was younger then, some guy, and he was ready to fight him. So I mean, yeah, you're gonna find stuff out there. He's human.
Yeah, of
He's
course.
not.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect. We're not talking about Christ here. We're talking about Charlie Kirk. But
Right. Right.
he did stuff that he thought was right, and he spoke up about things he felt people needed to talk about. And again, I said it the other day, and I'll say it again. One of the things he would say is, as soon as we stop talking, bad things happen.
Yeah.
I sent you a video. I am Charlie Kirk. Did I send
Hmm.
that one to you? I mean, that I've seen more and more of those out there that people are like, I am going to start speaking up on my faith. I mean, because that's the biggest thing. Most people I'm listening to don't think he was killed for his political view. Most of them don't think he was killed because he was, pro-life. They think he was killed because of his faith, because all of this other stuff is stemmed out of his faith.
Right, right. Which he has arguments that are logical that he can pull. Obviously, all of his morals and basis come out of faith, but with a lot of the arguments that I saw that he made, if somebody was like, "Well, can you make the argument and put faith aside?" and he was able to make the same
Oh
argument just
yeah,
from a morality standpoint. But I wouldn't surprise. I mean, we won't know unless the shooter admits to why or gives more idea of why he really did it, and who knows if we'll actually get that out of him. And I don't know that it really matters. Honestly, I know people always want to know why, but I don't think if you find out why, it's going to make anything any better. But it may have been just because of faith. I mean, it could very well have just been that.
well, I think he was. I think he was attacked because of faith. I think the guy who shot him. I mean, he had the Nazi stuff on his bullets, and he told his family that he hated his rhetoric and he was evil. But I think the overall arch is here that when you stand up for your faith, that you're going to be a target.
Yeah,
And he was, I mean, he presented the gospel every time he went to campus. First thing he did was present the gospel. The other day, he presented the gospel before he started taking questions. And I
yeah,
also saw another clip from the other day before it started, somebody on the video on their phone saying, and I think it was from the other day, it may have been from a different one, but he made a plea to the crowd. Look, when these people come up, I want to invite people up who disagree with me. We're polite. We give them time to talk. We don't heckle them. We're here to have conversations.
yeah,
Give them what they don't give us.
right, yeah. And that's the only way to start decent dialogue with people. And unfortunately, a lot of the people he talked to, and one of the reasons I didn't watch a lot of his stuff is because the college kids and the way they talk and the way they were on most of those. I know so you got value if you stayed around long enough in the video, but I guess I have one of those short attention spans. And about 2 minutes in, I couldn't tolerate the college kids and the ignorance and the stupidity. And I was just like, yeah, I'll find different video. I'd rather watch them in a podcast form. I'm a podcast guy.
Yeah.
So I just really he had just been on. It probably wasn't even a month ago. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. He was on Bill Maher's
Yeah.
podcast. Bill Maher has one called Club Random. He gets some good people on there sometimes, so I listen to it. I don't agree with probably 96% of what Bill Maher says.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other 4%, he makes some points. But you know, Charlie Kirk doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. Bill Maher's smoking a joint and drinking bourbon during the whole conversation. They don't have any qualms about that. They have a good conversation. Disagree politely
hmm
on everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing they
Everything.
disagreed. Bill Maher asked him some religious questions, like generally asking questions like, why do they say he is risen instead of he has? Like he asked some, and then Charlie Kirk gave great answers, and they had a respectful conversation and literally shook hands at the end of it and called themselves friends. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this was great. I don't agree with anything Bill Maher said. I agree with most of what Charlie said. There was a couple things Bill said that made good sense. A couple things that Charlie said I was like, maybe didn't hit that on the head. But at the end of the day, the conversation was good. Nobody yelled at each other. Nobody cussed at each other. It was polite. The conversation ended, and they agreed that they were going to be friends afterwards. And I was like, two
And
people that are so far left and right from each other, and there's no no crap. There's no BS. It's just they had a good conversation, agreed to disagree, found some middle ground, and went their separate ways and said they would be friends.
And most people will do that. I've got a friend
Yeah,
who lives in Florida. We've had some political conversations and all, and they're literally terrified of Trump. They are so scared of Trump. But we had civil conversations. They made their points. I made my points, and at the end of the day, we're still great friends.
yeah.
That's how it should be. This stuff of cutting people off, I think, to me, is from the left. You got to cut your friends off if they don't believe like you. I mean, that is fascism. I mean, that is the definition of how fascism or socialism or any of this stuff works.
Any of
But
the isms except
any of the
capitalism.
isms, well, I won't go into that, but
Yeah, we're still, I think we might still be headed that route, but that's another quick clip.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's just unfortunate. And then the conversations I had, not the two I had, neither one of them ended uh, very respectfully. Unfortunately, it was more of like, well, you just don't understand like why I feel this way. He was just a bad guy, and that's how I feel, and that's the end of it. And I was like, well, then you're right. We have nothing more to talk about. But stop. If you like, if anything else, if you don't get anything else out of what I said, then I'm just going to state it clearly. Respect when somebody dies. I don't care if you believe with it or not. Take that shit off social media. That's what I said. That was the end of the conversation. That was it. That was it. I was like, that was my point. That's my whole point of the
Yeah,
conversation. The guy passed away. His family's mourning. He got killed in front of his two kids that are both under 4 years old. His wife's in mourning. A lot of people that respect him and admired him are mourning. To go on there and to just share hate and like like even if you hate it, like it accomplishes nothing except more divisiveness. If that's what you want, more divisiveness, then just say that. If you want to be evil and divisive, just say that, and I'll respect you more than you just sharing it and not having any context.
yeah.
So anyway, that's how it ended, and it is what it is. I 2 minutes later, I forgot the conversation happened. It didn't. It hurt my feelings. I was just trying to make a point that what they were doing was it was a nasty way to treat
Yeah.
somebody that just passed away, especially in the manner they passed away.
All through, I mean, it's hard to believe it's only been 72 hours. I mean, the transformation I've seen across the board. I mean, influencers who never talk politics and still are, they still are not talking politics, saying what you just said. And I mean, I lost 5,000 users, I lost 10,000 subscribers, blah blah blah. And they're like, I don't care. This has gone too far. I never talk politics, and I'm not talking politics now. I pray for Charlie's family. I don't think this should have happened. And there's millions of people in our country that just cannot stand that. They cannot stomach that. And that's scary.
It is very scary. If anything, it has opened my eyes to at least I'm making mental notes of the people that I know personally that have posted stuff like that. Because, like, okay, well, if they disagree with me and I died, what would they say about me? Like and not that that really matters because I don't care, but it's just like to be that kind of person. If that's the kind of person you are, I want to make sure I'm not associating with you. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just a sad place to be. I just didn't know there were that many people that had
I
that had
didn't
that
either.
much hate in there and within themselves. And I think honestly, those people that are like that feel the need to celebrate death, honestly, probably hate something about themselves, and it feels better to push that outward on somebody else they disagree with than kind of search within themselves and figure out what's wrong within them. And that's I think that's part of the mental health crisis. I don't know that I don't know if I explained that in the best way, but I think that's a lot of what the problem is.
Yeah. What do you think's next? What do you think happens from here? What's your gut feeling 3 days out? Which you can't really tell this close to an event, but
I think you might see a couple. You're gonna see, well, you're gonna see more college tours from people like Ben Shapiro and some of these other people, and I think unfortunately, I think the good thing is you're gonna see more of this, and maybe more people talking and coming together and realizing how bad this is. But I think it's also gonna ignite some of these other crazies that are pissed that he got this much love and probably liked that the shooter got all this attention for doing all this. And you may see another one of these try to happen. I hope they up security at these events and maybe stop doing them outdoors. Maybe do them in a dome or somewhere where you can't be on a roof 200 yards away with a scope and then just jump off the front of it and haul ass. But
yeah.
I would like to think that there will be more of these conversations and people realize how bad that was, and we can grow from it. But if I had to guess, I think there's going to be more attempts like this, but there will also be more people talking. So there's going to be more opportunities for it to happen. So it's going to be, I think there's going to be good and negative that comes out of it. Where we end up 5 years from now down the road, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be in a better place. But I would like to think maybe we would. But I guess I'm a little more pessimistic than you might be.
Well, I mean, that kind of leads me into the next thing I was going to ask you is, does it get better? From what I've seen the last 3 days, it doesn't get better. All I can hear from the other side is, well, see, now we need to tone this down on both sides. Well, it's really coming from the Republican side. They started this. I don't understand the mentality. I mean, literally, what's the guy who started Young Turks? I can never say his name. Starts with a C. Shenek. Uh, anyway,
Uh,
he's
I
on.
know I know the group. I just can't think of his name.
I've seen him on several things, and he really attacked Charlie a lot on his stuff and called him a lot of names. And this one guy, oh, it was Dave Rubin, who used to be on the Young Turks. That's where he got his start.
Yeah.
And then as he dug and researched, he's like, wait a minute, we don't know what we're talking about. And he started doing. He's one of the first ones that started doing long format podcasts. He's kind
Mhm.
of the person who started doing hour, 2 hour sit downs instead of just a few minutes. So he
Yeah.
can be, even though he can't be credited for podcasts in general, he's definitely one of the ones in the political realm that started letting people talk. And so
Right.
as he started doing those, he started realizing, the Young Turks is wrong. We don't we don't understand these things in depth. We're just talking surface. And so he was on this Piers Morgan, is that his name? Yeah,
Mhm.
Piers Morgan. And he brought receipts. He had all the stuff from his X account and website and started reading off the headlines, attacking Charlie Kirk, asking him, are you going to stop this? Are you going to stop this? And the other guy's like, you're just reading out of context. And it's coming from both sides. And I'm thinking, no, y'all the ones who kept calling him a Nazi. Y'all the ones
Yeah.
who kept calling him, he's the right hand of Hitler. He's this, that, and the other thing. After you say that for a while, these crazy people with the mental illness, like you're talking about, are going to step up and do stuff because they think they're doing something good for the country,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they
And
will
it's
not answer. And every news report I've seen since then from just the mainstream media has always started with there's rhetoric on both sides. No, I go back to what you were talking about with all these attacks. Even somebody said that the guy who attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband was a Trump supporter. Excuse me? What?
yeah.
That was his lover, wasn't it? And that
Yeah.
wouldn't it be, it's anything that happened to a Democrat, they want to blame Republicans, even though there's only one or two things that happened that you could say a Republican did. And then on this other side, you got this huge list of things starting like you can go back farther, but even just back to 2017 when that guy went to the Republican softball practice and opened fire
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then go through the list. And but they just cannot see that they're the biggest part of the problem. The View
Yeah.
with their rhetoric, the mainstream media, CNN with their rhetoric, all this stuff. They don't see that they are the issue.
No, and I don't see the people that are that far gone, that have gone that far left. They don't, you don't, they don't come back. You don't come back from that, I don't think. So I just hope that that part of the Democratic Party doesn't keep growing. And I think more of the actual Democrats in power need to be outspoken against some of that instead of just feeding into it so they can keep getting that small, because that's a small portion of that party, I think,
Yeah,
that's really like that. But they feed into it and it just
but
makes it worse and worse. But all that does,
AOC and Bernie
yeah,
and
the more they
Ahmad, they
let
keep
that
taking more
little,
and more power.
yeah, the more they let that little group, do whatever they want and spew whatever they want and think that they need those votes, they don't see the trickle effect of the people that are coming, that are closer to the center, that are just moving over. They don't see that because it's
I've
in smaller numbers.
I've got a member of my family who's gone ballistic since Trump has gotten elected online. They are part of the medical community, so they've lost a lot of funding,
Mm,
and so they've been really over the top. And I will give them credit. They posted something on Thursday, I think, um, feeling sorry for Charlie Kirk. And I've watched the other people who used to post on his stuff that was so, yeah, yeah, you're saying it right. They just went after his neck. I mean, they were all over him. And I can see
yeah,
him backpedaling some, but I'm praying that this will wake him up, that he's been going down a road that's going to lead him to be just like them. And
right.
it will wake him up a little bit. And I've seen that a lot. A lot of people online, it's like, I don't know much about Charlie Kirk, but I will start seeing, but this is ridiculous. And so I see that trickle effect happening. And there was one
Mm,
guy, one video he was an atheist and a liberal atheist. and he was supposed to be at a Charlie Kirk, I think at Mississippi State or somewhere here coming up soon. And
Hmm.
what had happened was he had come across Charlie Kirk a while ago and started listening to him, and then started questioning his beliefs and started doing a lot of research, and now is a believer
Mm.
and turned away from liberty. And he was supposed to meet Charlie Kirk at that next thing because he was a big influence on
Oh
him.
wow. Oh
And
wow.
I didn't realize how many people Charlie had already influenced until these last few days. A lot of even some of the big names got to
Hmm.
start through Charlie Kirk. And then I also didn't realize, do you know where Charlie Kirk got started at?
Uh
Glenn Beck's
oh, did he? Okay.
a 912 project in 2008. Glenn, you could see that the Tea Party was getting kind of policy oriented, and it was forgetting the principles that started the Tea Party. So he
Hmm.
started Project 912, which his whole thought process was we need to be like we were as a country on 912, the day after 9/11,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were so unified. So Charlie Kirk at 14 or 15 got involved with that movement. We can do the math. That's what 17 years ago, so he would have been
Mhm.
17.
Yeah.
So he got involved in that movement and got to meet Glenn, um, I think when he was like 18 or 19. And so Glenn's known him that long. And I've seen a couple of clips these past few days where he was being interviewed by Glenn. He would try to give Glenn credit, and Glenn wouldn't take it. No, no, this is all you, man. This is all you. But if you really think about it, it was Glenn Beck's movement that got him started, and it just
Yeah.
took off.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but he's I mean he gathered a crazy following. I mean, then I think he was Ben Shapiro was talking about it yesterday that he had one of the biggest followings, if not the biggest conservative following as far as across the country, the biggest movements that there is. And
Yeah.
so, Ben said, I'll continue to, do my part to share his, I know Ben doesn't maybe share the exact same views religiously because he's
No,
Jewish. I know
no.
there's a little bit of difference there,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but as far as like his overall message,
Hmm.
Ben was like, we got to keep that going. So, I think a lot of people will. I think the summary is that a lot of good will come out of this. The most that you can get out of something this horrific. Unfortunately, I think with good is there's always some bad that comes with that,
Oh yeah.
and you always have to go through hard times to see the other side. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that. But maybe I'll be a little optimistic and think there's maybe a silver lining and we're going to come out of this okay. I'd like to think that. The pessimist in me thinks like, yeah, okay, you see what's been happening, and how is it going to get any better? But the optimist, says, you know what, there's always a chance it gets better, and at least the people that admired him are going to maybe pick up the torch and keep the movement going, and keep wanting the core values that we were founded with as a country, and the values in family and taking care of one another, and all the good things that we all really agree on, even though we fight over them, that deep down we all share in common. So maybe everything will be okay. I would have loved to see where he ended up 20, 30 years from now. 10 years down the road, he probably, everybody kept saying that he would probably eventually run for president.
Yeah.
I will unfortunately never know, but, yeah, like I said, I hope everybody picks up the torch and keeps everything going, and, hopefully just some positivity out of this,
I
complete tragedy.
I think he will have a lot of political pundits, political people come out of this, but I honestly think even bigger than that, he's going to have a lot of people who come to know Christ out of this. And
Yeah,
that literally is the only thing that could change our country. Is
right,
for people to come back to know who Jesus Christ was. If they don't know who he is, then all the political rhetoric and all the movements of the policies and all don't mean anything.
right.
He built his life on the foundation principles of Christ, and he made a lot of mistakes. And he was the first to say that I'm a sinner and I fail every day, but I'm gonna keep trying.
Yeah.
And most people, even talking to people over the last few days who are Christians, it still scares me how many people do not know the basis of their faith. And when I was
Mm,
in ministry, that was one of my big kind of pushes because I met so many people older than me at that point that did not even understand why they believe what they believe. And
mm,
so understanding the full plan of what God has and what actually has gone on the last 4 or 5 thousand years is not something, again, you get in 7 seconds, but it's pieces at a time. And it's also learning in religion. I hate religion. I always say I have a relationship, but I'm not religious. Um, But the problem is we major on the minors and minor on the majors. We want to get in arguments. In fact, I heard somebody on a clip the other day. He's like, "Yeah, well, he was okay Christian, but he didn't understand in this verse and this verse it says blah blah." No, no, you're missing the point. The whole Bible is about Christ. It's about coming to know Christ, and then the Holy Spirit will guide you through your life. And that's what Charlie had found. He was still working at it. He wasn't perfect, never would be. But I think that'll be the bigger piece that comes out of this if it happens. And I've seen several pastors saying that I think this will be a great awakening. And it's really wild because I've seen some pastors I've known for a while, some that are fundamentally, theologically, I feel like are sound, who are saying that Charlie was very sound doctrine. He had very sound doctrine. And I always thought he did, but I never really heard him talk about his faith a lot. But these people did. In fact, leading into the last thing I wanted to ask you about, because the conspiracy theories are running wild out there. I'm sure you've seen them as our Jonathan, the conspiracy guy here. But one of the ones is this guy standing behind him in the white shirt and the white hat. Have you seen this one? That's supposedly giving signs.
Yeah.
Well, I found out this morning that's Frank Turek. And you probably don't know who Frank Turek is, but I've known Frank Turek for about 25, 30 years. Actually, it's been about 30 years. He is one of the most amazing men of God that I ever read or had any contact with, because he's a Christian, but he's also a scientist and a researcher, and he gave me tools in the 1990s on how to show that Christ was who Christ said he was. And it turns out him and Charlie were really close, and he was a mentor of Charlie. And so the people saying this guy was giving, no, they don't know who Frank Turek is. As soon as I found out who he was, I went back and looked at the video, and I was like, well, wow, that is him. I hadn't seen him in years. I've known him 30 years. He was a lot younger back then when I had pictures of him. But I actually follow him on Instagram and all, and some of his stuff will pop up, but I hadn't really looked at him. But there's nothing going on there. He's the type of guy, if he knew that bullet was coming, he'd be dead, because he would have stepped in front of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that he may have had help as far as planting the gun, and from what a little couple of things I've heard, he might not have been acting alone, or somebody may have been in on it or knew about it. But I don't think anybody on the ground right there. There was no reason to even have to give a signal. Once you have a clear shot, you take it. There's no signaling needed. You're scoped in. What do you need nobody needs to signal for you. And if you're on your target, you're not going to see somebody signaling for you anyway. It doesn't even make sense. So no, that's not a conspiracy I buy into. I'm going to go ahead and debunk that one. Now, was there other people involved? Definitely could be. Will we find out? Who knows? Depends on if this kid talks or not.
I think he is, and there's a lot of other things going on around it. Again, I don't think people, and I've heard this from several people, I don't think Charlie Kirk was killed for what he was saying, because there's a lot of people saying it's kind of the same stuff. I think he was killed because people were listening.
I believe so. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And
that would be a conspiracy type thing going on behind the scenes if this is bigger than this one kid who lost his way and went crazy.
I agree. Yeah. No.
Mortgage payment, insurance payments, credit card payments, they can be very overwhelming. Are you ready to take the time to get things under control? Then reach out to me at Clark Financial Coaching to see if we can get you started with a budget and then a vision for the future. Write me at coachwesc@gmail.com. That's coachwesc@gmail.com. Eisenhower Dental, located at 107 Waccamaw Medical Park Drive in Conway, a place where you can find all your dental services, including general dentistry, cosmetic, restorative, and pediatric dentistry. Reach out to them today at their website, eisenhowerdental.com, or call them at 843-234-3110, 843-234-3110, and tell them Wes the Economist sent you.
Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and X at DollarsCentsGS and on Facebook at Dollars and Cents. This segment is sponsored by Wave Beach Realty, 843-957-3872. Give us a call today.
All right, guys, welcome back in. Sorry we had to take a quick commercial break, and I had a mattress being delivered, and I saw him backing into the driveway, so I knew we had to take a quick break. But we're back in action, coming live from the Dollars and Cents podcast. I know we were talking about some of the conspiracies surrounding Charlie's assassination. As of right now, I think maybe in the literal term of conspiracy, I think more than one person may have conspired
Yeah.
to kill him, but I don't think the crazy theories about people on the ground signaling for the rifleist to go ahead and take the shot
Nah.
whenever. I think it
Especially,
was I think
especially as I found out it was Frank. There's no way. Now, if you see the one about the airplane,
yes, it was like and I think that they turned off their what do you
transponder.
call it? Transponder, and it was like I think it was some big Jewish donor or something.
Oh, really? I
There
didn't know
are a lot of
that.
conspiracies saying that it's the Jews killing Charlie because he was speaking out against some of the stuff in Gaza and Israel, and
And
I
I've
don't
heard that
know.
it was the the deep state type players doing it because he's getting too close.
I
I've
heard
heard that
Trump
it's
did it.
Epstein. Yeah, Epstein list
Yeah.
would be. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you could go anywhere with it, and I mean, I think there are some stuff. There is some stuff going on with that whole Israel thing that I think needs to be investigated more. For some reason, people don't like talking about that. I don't know that this has anything to do with that because plenty of people speak out about that subject. I don't think
yeah.
Charlie's the only one that does, so they would have to kill a lot more people. But so I don't really buy into that. But there is something to that Israel stuff. I think the more I hear people talk about it, the more I'm like, I don't know, maybe we need to look more into this. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Uh,
But
these big conspiracy theories to me are kind of far-fetched because I mean you can't even get a dozen people to stay on task. How do you get thousands of people to stay on task? I just
right, right.
and people say, oh, if you look here, if you look at this and look at, we're just not that smart. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
as humans.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff's going to come out about it, or maybe nothing comes out of it, and we never know the full truth, which is pretty typical for these things. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now it's a mess though. I don't. And like I said, I know we were talking about what comes out of this, but I don't know where we land. But maybe we'll
Well, I
learn
hope
something
it.
about.
I hope I was just before you get back on. I was looking at a meme showing that Charlie Kirk is the dam holding back the mega extremists, and the left is in the valley below. And if that was going to happen, and some people have made this point. So the night it happened, and the next day, I didn't see riots. I didn't see anything burning down. I saw people coming together, praying and having
Okay.
vigils, and but just the common people that are just have common sense are different. There's
Yes.
no reason to act out. I mean, it's not going to help anybody by tearing somebody else apart, tearing their business
Right.
apart, tearing their property apart. It
Oh yeah.
just so it's definitely different. I think even the governor of Utah came out and said that. I didn't see any violence last night from this.
Right.
One of the other things I've seen that has really touched my heart, and again, Glenn Beck did it, but I've seen it half a dozen places. People coming out thinking, what about his family? This killer's family? Because the father had something to do with turning him in. I mean, that had to,
Yeah.
you gotta, as a father, that's just something I mean, I don't know how I would react. You want to protect your child, but at the same time, he's done something horrific. And so
Yeah.
I've seen people come out, and usually what I see is people calling the bad parents, and I'm sure all this is out there somewhere. I just hadn't seen it. They're terrible. They should have got this, blah, 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 blah. But I've heard more people come out and say, we need to love on these parents because I'm sure they are just in shock and their life is ended because of this. And I've
Yeah.
actually seen timelines from the mother's Facebook and all. And this kid was all the way up until he was 18. It was like a good guy. Everything was going great. He got accepted to Utah State, got a scholarship, and then he went off to college. And he came back with radical ideas. Imagine that.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so it's not the parents, it's the friends and influences around him that did it. And people are talking about how they lift him up, pray for him, don't ostracize them, that they're having their whole life is torn apart also by something their adult child did, not their kid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't hold them accountable at all. I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't seem like it was anything they did or didn't do or tried to radicalize him. But so I don't. People should. I mean, I know people are going to attack them because that's what people do, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate too. That's just as bad as the people on the left mocking the death. I mean, you don't attack somebody's family because of something they did. You can't. So there's just some things out of your control. Now, if it turned out that they were running some super liberal campaign and they were all in it to try to
Yeah.
kill him off. The rest of the
Yeah.
family do whatever, but if they had nothing to do with it, leave them out of it. I mean, they're going to go through enough with the embarrassment and the sadness and the basically the death as they know it of their child because he's going to be imprisoned forever at the very minimum if Utah doesn't give him the death penalty. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I would leave them out of it. I would have, yeah, somebody who hates the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. The last thing I'm going to go do is bash that kid's family. That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with them. So it's the same. It has to go both ways. The same thing we're saying about what's going on the left. I don't think anybody on the right or just anybody that agreed with Charlie Kirk that's upset should do anything, say anything, or do any hate towards his family. Even though I know it'll happen.
Yeah. They will.
Unfortunately, it shouldn't. So I'm not a proponent of that. It's got to go both ways. You can't have it one way and not the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be consistent on that. So I'm
And
on that.
on going back to what we talked about earlier, just on a final note, talking about these people losing their jobs and all. I did see. I don't know if you saw the one in where was it at? Michigan, I think, with the Staples, with the assistant manager or the one of the managers at Staples wouldn't print out a poster for a vigil for Charlie Kirk, calling it political propaganda. I think we froze up somewhere. I lose you. So this person went in to get these vigils posters done, and they would not print them. And Staples released a comment in the last 24 hours that the person has been fired. So yeah, I think we've lost Jonathan at this point. So I guess we'll go ahead and end up. I think we've covered everything we're going to cover as he sits silent on the screen. There he goes. He's gone now. But thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for a quick clip, and hopefully some good will come out of all of this just evil stuff this week. So be praying for the Kirk family. Be praying for just our nation as a whole, that we can come together, and that Charlie's sacrifice will be a actual turning point, just like his association was. We'll see you next time.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
Want to know more about economics? Then look for my podcast, Econ Sense, in Apple and Spotify, or reach out to me at west.the.economist@gmail.com. It's west.the.economist@gmail.com.
You looking to buy a property in North or South Carolina and need financing assistance? Give Motto Mortgage Coastal Pros a call today. We specialize in residential loans in both North and South Carolina and can meet all your residential home loan needs. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and give us feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs. You can follow us on Facebook at Dollars and Cents. Listen to us on the podcast format at Dollars and Cents Podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube at the Dollars and Cents Podcast.